Therefore, about egoism, which continue to be subject of the time, it will need to be clarified. West continue to build on premises of egoism and egocentrism. Basically, the entire concept of wealth assume wealthy individuals. Wealth happens on individual level. It is individual category. And the West develops that kind of egoism. It is not political, but it is wealth related. And basically, I cannot recognize it as a human dimension. It is predator level of dimension. And that is never going to be egoism that I would accept. My definition of egocentric platform is identity related, not money related. And it is next question: what is that identity actually to be doing, or what is all about? But first momentum I want to point here is that identity as a concept, as an event of the nature, exists. And no one can call it bad or wrong or correct because it does exist. Even religion is recognizing the concept of vertical point. There are various saints, religion recognize they are identities. So to be religious and to be selfish or to be egocentric is devil. God is you need to be sheep, but then you end up into citizenship. That theory of God, which also is individual, by the way, it's hard to accept with some sense of logic, of healthy logic. It is complete manipulation. It is complete fabrication in order to create caste of people that would be sheep yard and caste of people that would be wolves. In 21st century, we should not accept such blunt brainwashing polarization. And we should certainly go much more specific into who is playing the wolves and how the rest end up to be a sheep. What's the magic theory? Well, the religion is the magic theory. So I'm going to ask you to stop using God and devil for God's sake, because it is the most brainwashing theory of recent history. Point number 1. There is individual is human protocol. It is protocol human. Protocol animal do not recognize individualism, although it is evident that animals do have personalities as well. Technically, we talk about personality. And beyond that human is individual, that's fact. That's scientific, physical, actual fact of evidence. We exist as individuals. That is why we get a unique name and surname and unique symbol, unique number of registration, because we are unique. So I'm going to ask you to stop babbling on that subject. Point 2 is what someone is talented for doing in this entire universe, that is in this world. What we as individuals are talented doing. Someone is talented to sing, someone to act, someone to be a physician, mathematician, I don't know, agriculture, food, blah, 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 medicine. We're all talented, clearly. There is inclination or talent to do certain things. And when we find ourselves talented in certain direction, we tend to explore such area and become and start building ourselves in certain areas. And we become more of individuals. More and more of individuals as we build ourselves and profile ourselves within certain aspect, within certain profile. Are you going to call that ego? How you're going to make difference between ego and professional identity? When you're sick and you ask who is the best doctor in that area, the best doctor, the best professionalists, are you going to call them ego? Inevitably they will develop ego. They will develop ego because the circumstances are such. But the substance of that entire matter is not that they have the name and surname that become now noticeable, but the fact is that they have become capable to do things in on certain levels and in certain perspectives. What is important for us to notice, apart of the fact that we are differentiate as individuals, that we also at some point talk about some kind of qualitative build-up of our individual capacities. You see, you already find yourself in different kind of subject here. I mean, the entire discussion goes in different direction. When you start talking about God and devil, you bring the discussion in completely different direction. And then we talk about today why we don't have qualitative build-up among the people. And why we are where we are. And why the nations and societies are so much disoriented. And so easy to be manipulated. And so easy to be controlled. One can come and buy a village or a city or even a state. Even in America, yes. As anywhere else. And why we have become so easy for such events to happen. We are a step away from cataclysm, complete cataclysm. We are going to be overwalked by oligarchs that walk the egocentric event at the point of material wealth. And we still can't differentiate how we as individuals differ. There are still voices out there that would say being individual is devil. You can't be egocentric. You can't think of yourself as individual. That's devilship. You can't stand up. You can't lead the ship. They're supposed to go to the edge of the cliff and they're supposed to fall down. And you're not supposed to help them. You can't be individual. You're devil. You should leave to God to do it properly. You don't need devils to save the ship. We need gods to bring them to the heaven. So do you get the point? Here. There are stories going out there that to die, after that experiences are the most wonderful experience one can experience. I mean, it makes you to hardly wait to die, for God's sake. Because it's the most beautiful experience you ever experience in your eternal life. That's the definition of heaven. They're inviting you in heaven. The sheep are being invited into a heaven by gods, by divinity of God. That is much more beautiful and more attractive than life itself. It is the latest stage where a religion is right now, which develops as any other human invention. That is the latest stage of religion, after that experience. There are millions of books written about wonderful after that experience. I'm going to start questioning how many people believe that to be on this planet is hell, and they would rather to leave it. There are individuals that literally left this life exactly under such spell, truly believing that they are going to go on much better place, not 6 feet under the earth, into nothingness, into mud of the earth, alone, in dark, black earth, buried upon it, and forgotten, and pointless and useless, as entire life, their life, become completely forgotten and pointless. When ending earlier, when ending before its time. Complete waste. There is nothing romantic when you get buried 6 feet under the ground to dark, black, muddy earth. There is nothing romantic and beautiful in it. Nothing. Promising there. As in that vast universe, you as identity do not exist. You become a complete dust, particular of a matter. One tiny little particular of a matter. Total, complete insignificance. As the miracles are happening, they are happening at the point of life and beginning of life. And the miracle lasts as long as life lasts. When life ends, the miracle ends. That's the story here. And what is our determination and should be on this planet is to make that life as qualitative as possible. To make it pointful as possible. To make it precious experience as possible. And we should be dedicated on this planet to assist such event. This realm should be such place where the life is celebrated, not death, but life. Because the point of this realm is life, creation of life, and celebration of life. Material as it is, yes, that's the point of this planet. Because you require this level of specificness in order to make some kind of point, to make that level of experience of life. You need this kind of specificness. This kind of specificness. Only in this kind of specificness is that critical point where everything that exists out there in some kind of absurdity, here in this exact level of coordination, coordination, the magic happens, and the magic ball happens. And I truly believe that we should be privileged being happening and being born in this magical box, ball, whatever, in this magical realm, and that we should be dedicated to make our experience of living here the best possible experience. And yet there are so many people out there do not understanding how they should be included in this realm and where should be their place in this realm and how they should be living in this realm. It is not about are you talented to be leader or to be individual or not. The point is to be individual. That's not our question. Our question is what you are best at and how you can contribute to this realm in the best possible way. Because the accent here is to the function, not to identity in its mega display. That is not the point. The point is what is the consequence of it. Well, someone is going to organize realm in better terms. That's the consequence of it. Or is not going to organize realm on better terms. or is going to be magnet to create the one that are going to surrender the environment, going to surrender our expectations, to surrender our drives, our aiming to accomplish high evaluation points, high quality aspects in our living, because they have fallen. And when they fall, they brought other people with them, and they continue to bring other people with them. And that's the point where I'm going to find positive and negative. Positive, the one that thrive, that still ignite, the one that thrive to get higher within its aspiration, individual development, and to bring the world within its positivism, or its positive imagination and of creation and purpose of life and living. And one that have fall, and that tend to now to try to bring as much people as they can with them, because that is how they have been ordered. The one at one point when they have become drawn, or when they have fallen, they started to, not because they want to bring other people with them, but because they continue to be blackmailed to bring other people with them down. And we should notice that. For start, we should stop being satisfied with such description as God and devil. We should go beyond to understand how these forces are functioning and what is actually beyond here. What's the real story here? No, in 21st century, we are not going to go with God and devil anymore. In 21st century, we are going to go beyond it. And we are going to notice what takes to create this kind of sun level of event, and what takes to create this kind of moon level of event. As simple as it sounds. As anyone accepting any other answer would be category of ship. And then we end up with shipyard and citizenship. And it is time that we move away from it. Roman imperialism of America. It's time to move on from it. And by the way, Roman, it sounds like raw men. Raw men. Raw men cannot play God on earth either. Time to move on. Americans, it is time to move on. Yeah, royalism also refers to raw as well. Exactly. Monarchy is nothing less of raw itself. There is nothing sophisticated and refined about these people, but the money that clearly they totally, completely steal or excavate from some other societies and other nations, hidden under their feet, as it is our ancient plateau, which they completely use for extracting the money of the people there and their possessions. I mean, we are talking here literally. Literally. That is how raw that order is. Totally raw. Basic, elementary, raw. There's nothing refined or sophisticated that. It is profoundly, fundamentally raw. Organic, raw. Appropriation of other people's property. End of discussion. End of discussion. End of discussion, England. End of discussion. End of discussion. Raw. And when I have said I'm going to bring the protocol on higher level, is that sounds to you like a joke? What's this? Is this joke for you? Or because someone can spell such words so easily, what means for you like you got yourself in Scheherazade all of a sudden? Or all of a sudden you're in the magical candy store? Or the sweet dessert store all of a sudden? or you found yourself with your knives and forks and the rest, attending the dessert store of European societies. They're the best known by dessert, the cake stores in the center of the city. And you feel exactly like that now. Like someone just opened your door to gâteau store of Europe. That is what entire England thinks about my referrals to monarchy. That is exactly how they think about it. Exactly like that. What Tudor, what nonsense. It's a cake store of European society. They're not there just with a dessert spoon. They're there with forks and knives and all of the rest. Excuse me? I have not opened a rodeo here. For God's sake. What on earth do you think you're doing? Americans and British, what on earth do you think you're doing in Europe? In accepting invitations for a rodeo, I would say. What China? They're all over Europe now. Forget about China. They just found Olymp. They're all over the place. Especially for them. But I can see you spreading your Vatican language. Excuse me. It's the wrong time for it. I'm promoting all of a sudden Mary, and now I found myself in a Vatican jungle. Now, in a Catholic jungle, that is. Now, all of a sudden, I need to defend the Catholics. Excuse me, as Mary of Israel, not Mary of Catholics. First and foremost. So you have obstacle number one. I have no intention to waste my time with bringing Catholicism when I need to bring down the religion completely. And Catholics are the most religious people in the world. So I found myself trapped here in something. Completely trapped. Literally Vatican. Completely. By using magic word Mary, which is a total word of confusion actually. Because you have Mary of Israel and you have Mary of Catholics, and no one talks about it. That we have here actually 2 points of the letter A. One being Judaism, which is another word I don't favor. And the other is Catholicism, which I equally as Orthodox rather would not know what to do with it. Being the Orthodox, which is rather a joke starting here, neither I, and then with name Mary, neither I can admit to Judaism, neither I can admit to Catholicism because I have not been growing in such environments, and because I have found myself quite open-minded for being so much into admittable to certain ideologies when I am strongly building my own ideology. We are not going to find ourselves uneasy here of anything at all. Also, as I'm referring here to pre-religious times, let's remind ourselves, how old is Catholicism? Not older than 2 millenniums. Well, I am reaching here beyond 2 millenniums time. That is before religions to happen. And I don't want to be drawn in any kind of religious conversation, because I have returned the ball further than 2 millenniums. I'm investigating the Olymp protocol and how the ancient event and ancient family become trapped into a religious narrative. Well, that will cover all of the religions, including the Catholic and Judaism as well. And there is absolutely no room here in this kind of initial statement and theory that I promote even in the book 1. There is absolutely no space that I develop in some kind of Catholicism or Judaism further on out of this work, Americans. However, I have become very much aware that especially this category of population are having their hands all over my work and are very willing to make the most of it. Well, that's beyond alchemy. No, it's not going to be possible. So you would be wasting your time and resources. Also, the present American president, as I understand, is Catholic. He is Catholic, Joe Biden. And I would understand that can easily develop into some kind of Catholic mission for saving Northern Ireland and things like that, which become all of a sudden Catholic story, not story of some Orthodox people lost in Britannia. Again, let's not call it. I'm rather sarcastic when I talk about Orthodox people. I just want to point out the real size of the mess going on here. That if you get in Northern Ireland story as a religious event, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? You realizing that the origin of that population is actually the most Orthodox country on the planet, South Serbia. Yes, the most Orthodox country on the planet, which is a rather laughable when you end up talking about the most Catholic country in the world. But there is common denominator to the both territories. That's the most, which would tell us that there is something behind these religious drivers, the fabric of the population itself. But I am not bringing that to common denominator religion because that's not going to be possible. We're talking about genetics, of course. At the moment we reach that conversation and where my work is completely on that level, religion here stops. It simply stops. Simply, religion here stops. We might end up speaking about some kind of extraterrestrial alignment or bio-alignment, but that's not going to be religious at all. And it's going to be brainwashing if we continue to talk about religious references here. It is simply that you deliberately want to brainwash yourself or something. It is just not going to work anymore, religion. For this level of discussion, we have triggered today with this work, which is accent much more on genetics of the population and on the way how nations are building their cultural stamp. So we are returning to much more substantial level of discussion. I'm going to ask you, therefore, it would be pointless to bring on religion further on and again, because it's not going to solve us anything. It's going to continue to promote this kind of excavation and exploitation and subordinating people on the ground of something as illusional as it is religion. Simply will continue to be driver to segregate and subordinate people and to provide to some people overprotected environment and to bring some other people in some kind of a restrict mode in times where none of the territories can afford additional layer of disinformation, of manipulation on the ground. Simply manipulation. Because what happens when I, as Orthodox, find myself with a group of Catholics? What's going to happen is it's going to be that kind of defense mode. You're Orthodox, we are Catholics, we can't walk together. You need to walk on the other side of the street, I'm sorry. You can't be with us, we are Catholics, and you're Orthodox. And what happens if there is no such polarization. If you take out religion, then what we are? Just group of people that think in one way or think in another way, or that they have one set of circumstances versus another set of circumstances, just different life conditions or different way of thinking. Or but then you see that people start polarizing in that regard in much more different groups than just two mega groups with some kind of labels attached to them, to what they become servants beyond their control. Beyond their control. As long as the group works good for you, you're okay with that. If the group doesn't work good for you, where you go? You need to accept to be the black sheep because you have nowhere to run. It's been laid down for the community. So no, neither that religion is a promised land, because it defines people to wolves and to sheep. And if you're a sheep, you need to accept to be a sheep. And if you're a wolf, you need to accept to be a wolf. Look how many black cars you have out there. They're your wolves. And the rest of you are sheep. And who is winning? Who is the winner? There is no winner. There is no winner. And you end up in Northern Ireland out there as well, as a reward program. Stop selling the Catholicism to the world, please. It doesn't work for you. Let it say for everyone else. It's time to say no to religion. There's nothing good out of it. It's just brainwashing and brainwashing and brainwashing and using people as a kind of bunch of animals. Yes, that is what continue to bring people on the level of animals. You don't need your own mind. There is a church is going to tell you how to think about anything, because you're an idiot.